Hey guys, Dan here. Welcome to another edition of Dan Reviews It, and this is the season finale and season wrap-up review of The Conners Season 1. The episode we're going to be talking about before we get into the season on the whole is called We Continue to Truck, which is sort of a continuation in spirit of the pilot episode, the season premiere called Keep on Truckin'. So, lots of things going on in this episode. Let's run down the list of all the characters, because there's really three stories at the core, and I think each one gets about equal time, too. The writers, the last two episodes and this one have been really good about giving equal time to the characters and their storylines, and it's been awesome. Way to wrap up this season. I guess let's do Becky first. So Becky's boyfriend, I guess boyfriend, right? But baby daddy, if nothing else. I don't know if they're official or anything, but he's, the father of her baby, and they're getting closer in this episode. He's working for Dan at the drywall place. And we see them getting a little bit closer in this episode. Emilio and Dan go out and buy some baby stuff. We see Becky and Emilio in the park eating and kissing. And then we end the episode with, I guess you could call it a cliffhanger. I'm hoping that we will be official very soon with the Season 2 announcement. But it looks like he's being deported. Now, this was something that was touched on in the last episode that I actually didn't really like. I thought it was, with all the political stuff surrounding Roseanne herself and everything, I didn't know if doing a political subplot was the way to go. But, I have been proven wrong by the writers, and obviously they were building to something here, and it looks like Emilio's possibly going to be deported. So if we get a Season 2, I guess we'll find out the fate of that. So let's move next to Aunt Jackie. We have Matthew Broderick back as her boyfriend, and we find out fairly early on in the episode that he has been cheating on her, and she loses it. She gets drunk. She goes to the spot that used to be the Lanford Lunchbox that her and Roseanne owned, and now it's a Chinese restaurant. Dan and Darlene go down and help her out. So that is where Jackie's at. And I guess if anything is the A story, it is Darlene. So we see, or we saw, I should say, in the last episode that her boyfriend Ben asked her to move to Chicago. He's got a great job opportunity there. Hey, things are going well with us. Let's pick up and move to Chicago, bring your kids, and the whole nine. So at first, the kids are very excited, although Mark is a little bit more hesitant because he's, worried a little bit about his grandfather and, really how everything's going to transpire, whereas Harris is more than excited about the news and can't wait. But enter David, Johnny Galecki, back again. Great to see him as always as David. And he kind of announces that, hey, I have left Blue. She was talking in the last episode about trying to have a family with him to Darlene. And now she has broken the news to David. And David said, nah, that's not for me anymore. Like, I'm already, I've already got kids, whatever. So she's out. He wants to get back together with Darlene. Or at the very least, keep her in Lanford with the kids. So, again, something that we'll possibly talk more about in Season 2 or get resolved in Season 2. But I would say it's a pretty done deal. They're gonna stay in Lanford, obviously. And I had mentioned that in the last review. I just couldn't imagine them moving to Chicago. And, the Johnny Galecki part of it was, something substantial as well, because as we all know, Big Bang Theory is done at the end of this season, and I think if the Conners get a Season 2, I think Galecki should totally be on board. I think he will be on board. Why not, Obviously, he still wants to work, even though he certainly doesn't need the money. But I think he's always had, one of our commenters even mentioned this last week, a great friendship with Sarah Gilbert. So I think he would love to come back to the Conners, and that has been proven, this season and the last season of Roseanne, that he's appeared in 3 episodes, even though obviously very, very busy with the Big Bang Theory stuff, and especially this last season doing all the press and everything. So, clearly, he's going to be along for the ride, I would think. I don't know if he would be a permanent cast member, but certainly more than an episode or 2, I would hope, if we get picked up for season 2. I keep saying if, but I mean, it's pretty inevitable. I would be shocked if ABC did not renew. It might come down to, contracts or something, or, the pay, but, it's delivered solid ratings, so I think, season 2 is pretty inevitable. So we'll just leave it at that. But so those are the 3 storylines going on. Dan sort of is just rotating through all of it. He's shopping with Emilio. He's helping Jackie out down at the bar, and giving Darlene his blessing for the Chicago move in a pretty funny scene in the garage. So let's talk about the episode as a whole and my thoughts on it. I loved it. I mean, it is, I would say, the premiere is still probably a better episode, just on the basis of having to basically rebrand the show and come back after the star title character is gone. So I think, for what they had to do, that episode was it's hard to beat it, really. But in terms of every other episode this season, this was the tops. I mean, this was, boy, was it great. Very, very old school Roseanne vibe with the serious topics, and not just 1, but 2, because you've got Emilio being deported and Matthew Broderick cheating / Jackie being drunk. The Darlene stuff, I would say, was less serious, just because I don't think it was ever feasible that she was moving to Chicago. But, I guess there was a little bit of drama there, too, with, David entering back into the picture. But one thing I noticed that I loved about this episode is that just about every scene ended on a non-laugh line. Some of it was serious. Some of it, like Emilio and Becky in the park, was just kind of romantic. It was a nice moment between them. They were kissing, and the scene ended that way. So bravo to them. I mean, I find it hard sometimes to watch studio audience or laugh track sitcoms these days, because, when I go back and watch some of the classics, like, for example, one of the shows I'm going through right now is Three's Company, with old episodes, and they let the joke breathe for a second. Every other line wasn't a laugh line, and it's not just a problem with the Conners. All of the shows I watch with live audience, which aren't that many anymore, but I watch Mom. Is there another? Oh, Big Bang Theory. Yeah, I'm a few seasons behind on that, but I do watch it. But anyway, shows like that, it's like there's a laugh every 10 to 12 seconds, and it's kind of annoying. And the Conners, has fallen into that trap. Will and Grace is another one. I watched that, and I did watch a couple of the Murphy Browns. So I'm versed in it, but I feel like now, as compared to a show from the 70s or 80s or even 90s. They're really trying to push the canned laughter or the studio audience laughter more so, I think, than previously. And I don't dig it. It is grating a bit. So it was great to have an episode where there really, there were laughs. There were definitely jokes in the episode, but a lot of drama. And stuff that the studio audience even gasped at the Matthew Broderick revelation. and that kind of thing. And they clapped when David said he left Blue. I don't mind that so much, but I just the constant, like, every other line is a laugh, does get a little annoying. And so I'm glad that they ended the season with this episode with a great balance of comedy and drama in the true Roseanne fashion. The show has always been known for that. I've said it ever since I started reviewing season by season last year, and so for the writers to craft this great episode and to sort of quell the audience a little bit, and not every word out of somebody's mouth has to necessarily be a joke. So I loved that. I thought the balance was great, and I thought the drama was great. And here's the thing. You really need competent performers to pull off some of the scenes. I'm thinking mainly, I guess, of the Chinese restaurant, because there you've got the three huge talents on the show pulling this really dramatic scene out, but also adding a couple of laughs when necessary. And that's Sarah Gilbert, John Goodman, and of course Laurie Metcalf. I mean, the three pros. And look, Roseanne had it too herself. She obviously could deliver a punchline, but she was great in more dramatic scenes as well. But I think really the king and the queen of those has always been Goodman and Metcalf. So I'm glad to see them on their A game, as they've been the whole season. I should expect nothing less. I've always loved and admired the talent of those two. So I'm glad to see the writers really giving them some meaty stuff, but also some huge laughs. I mean, we get a great joke about killing Beverly early in the episode. We get a great joke from Dan about not taking his medicine if Darlene leaves. So, bravo to everybody with this episode. I think it was a great season ender. Again, I don't think it's going to be a series ender. I think we'll be back for season 2. But I may as well grade it since I'm just gushing over it. It's an A. I really loved it. I thought it was a perfect send-off to the season and a capper on what I really wasn't sure the series was even going to be. You can go back to my video announcing the Connors as a concept, and I didn't know. I was not sure how to, how do you take the title character of the show away? It's not easy, and you do it by having great writers and great actors, and it did take the writers a little while to get on their game. I think, unlike the last season of Roseanne, there are no bad episodes here, but there were a few in the more B territory. But these last few have just been solid and very, very good. Very happy to see how this is going out. Again, though, I'm gonna, I can't stop beating the drum about DJ. Either give him something to do or kick him off the damn show. I'm sick of seeing him at the table every episode and not having a line. Gina had a line at the beginning of the episode. DJ and Mary weren't there. DJ and Mary and Gina, everybody was there at the end. The end of the episode had everybody around the table. But again, half the people didn't speak. Look, I don't know what's going on. I know they want to be loyal to Michael Fishman because he was part of the original cast, but either give him an acting class or something, or just write him and his family off the show. That is my biggest complaint, really, with the whole season, is that he's just pointless. And honestly, he won't be missed if you write him off. I promise you he won't be missed. Make him a producer if you don't want to give him any lines or something. But it's just, I don't know. I mean, if I were him, I think I would be a little bit, I don't know, is ashamed the right word? To get the script, realize you have no lines, but you're showing up, to sit at the table with everybody. I don't know. I would feel not happy about that. I would feel embarrassed about that. and look, I don't know the guy. I know he's a nice guy. You can tell that from interviews and stuff. But obviously, the writers and the producers, I think, know that he can't really act, and so they're letting him be set dressing, window dressing. But it's like, it's just pointless. It's frustrating as a fan to watch. Give him something to do or get him off the show. I'm tired of it. And I hoped that Gina would be a nice sort of balance to that. Those first couple episodes, she had a couple of good jokes, and I thought, this is great. We're going to flesh this character out. She's obviously, got the acting chops to go against Sarah Gilbert and some of these other people. But then, I don't know if it's because of the DJ is better seen and not heard mentality, but they didn't give her anything to do either for the rest of the season. And nor Mary. They had one semi-plot line about church, and that was it. Look, either take the whole family out of the show or give them something to do. That's all. That's my plea for season 2. When this thing happens, writers, come on, give them something to do. But other than that, I guess let's move in, to the whole season, as of kind of ranting about not only this episode but the season as a whole. With that, I really am happy with the way it turned out. Like I said, I was trepidatious. I didn't know what was going to happen. I don't know why I thought for a second that the actors wouldn't give 100%. I guess I just thought, obviously there's so much loyalty to Roseanne and what she's done for literally everyone's career on the show. I mean, it can't be, I think, overstated that, she gave careers to a lot of these people. John Goodman had done a few things. He was an up-and-comer, but let's be real. Would he have ever gotten to the success that he is now if not for Roseanne? My guess is no. Laurie Metcalf, great on the stage, but, new to TV audiences, certainly. And then the kids were just kids, so obviously they were just starting out. So I just didn't know what the dynamic was going to be. I didn't know how they were going to treat the death of their lead character. And I think they handled it very well. I think, sprinkling her name in just about every episode at least once, I think was cool. I liked that there were a couple episodes that didn't mention her at all, as well, because I think, we don't need to beat a dead horse, but at the same time, this family would of course be grieving their mother and their sister and their wife. So obviously, but they held that balance very well. I think the writers, that was something the writers did very well. Obviously, like I've talked about many times, one of my big problems with the writers sort of in the middle of the season was the episodes were so short and they were trying to cram so much in that I think it did the episodes a disservice at the end of the day. But obviously these last few episodes showed that they sort of got their footing. They bounced back a little bit, and obviously, look, it is different writing a 21.5-minute episode than it is writing a 25-minute episode. So how do you do that, without cutting corners? And they've finally figured out, that mix, that magic formula. So kudos to them for that. And the acting, even Lacey Goranson has really, I think, stepped up this season. I think last season was more of a practice round for her, Here she was a bit more front and center. Certainly the pregnancy plotline and early on the alcohol plotline got her to really have a couple episodes even focused all around her. And for the most part, I think she did a good job. By the end of the season, look, I'm on board. I'm on board with Lacey. I don't need her in small doses anymore like I did at the beginning of the season. And, the other actors and actresses are great, of course. The kids, Mary I can't speak to because she doesn't have any lines ever. But, Emma Kenny and, what is Mark's name? Is it Jaden something? Ames McNamara. There you go. Jaden. Is that Mary's name or something? Anyway, Emma Kenny and Ames McNamara are really talented performers. Emma, I knew from Shameless, so I that was no surprise. But I didn't know Ames from anything, and I think this is really one of his first things. So I loved watching them grow this season, because last season I think was a little more scattered with the plots, because we needed to give Roseanne so much, and we wanted to see everybody back. So it was like we had an episode where Crystal was there, and oh, there's Chuck, and there's Nancy, and whatever. This season I think there were a couple episodes the kids didn't appear in at all, and that was okay too. But the episodes they were in, I thought it was great. Especially an episode like this where both of the kids really had something to do. This and the last episode that they showed. So that was great. What else about the season as a whole? I think the plots were good. The chicken thing was a little bit I Love Lucy for my taste, but they kept bringing it up too. They even brought it up in a line in this episode. So I guess it's cool they didn't forget that they existed, but it just was very, very like physical comedy sitcom type of thing. Like, I Love Lucy did it. I mean, they literally did it with chickens on their show. But you could see it happening on many other sitcoms, and it's a little silly for the Roseanne universe, but okay. But that's fine. I guess the only other thing really is the stunt casting, which I sort of touched on in the last review. I would have liked to see a few more fresh faces for the guests. I don't think we necessarily needed everybody. I liked the recurring ones. I liked that Juliette Lewis was Blue. I liked that Matthew Broderick was Jackie's boyfriend. The dude that plays Emilio, he's a fresh face, at least to me. I don't know him. So cool. I like to see that. But even that premiere episode, I love Mary Steenburgen. But did the neighbor that gave Roseanne the pills, did she have to be played by an A-lister? I don't know. And then you had Katie Seagal at one point. And I liked seeing them, but I would have preferred, I guess, more of an even mix of stunt casting and fresh faces. But other than that, no, it was a solid season. I'm going to wrap it up there, because obviously I've talked to death about each of the episodes individually anyway, so I think y'all kind of know how I feel about the season. But I do need to give it a grade, as I do everything. And I'm gonna give a little bit of a benefit of the doubt, just because I think these guys had an uphill battle and succeeded greatly. I really think they had a hard fight to win some people over. And I think they succeeded. I'm going to give the season as a whole, the Connors season 1, an A-. I think that's probably it could go B+, but I think there were enough great things about it. And again, really, they had a rough road ahead of them, and I think they nailed it head on. So good for them. Looking forward to season 2. I know it's going to happen, you guys. Come on, we all know, right? If ABC cancels it, I will be very, very shocked. Let's just say that. But comment below about the episode or the season as a whole, or my review. You guys always have such great insights. Always things that I didn't think of. And again, I do these fresh from watching the episode. I don't really ruminate on it in my mind. I just watch it and then hit record and talk to you guys. So, so I do sometimes miss something that seems obvious or what have you. But yeah, always with the comments, you guys. It's great. Other than that, there's going to be stuff coming up on the channel. Obviously, the Connors is winding down, so no more weekly reviews of this. But I want to get back to some of the classic TV shows that I started. I did an Abbott and Costello show review like a month ago. I want to get some more of those out. And then also with the Oscars coming up, Oscars were just announced this morning, the nominations anyway. I want to do a video with Merlin about some of the best movies of the year, worst movies of the year. I know my movie reviews on here don't get as many views as my TV reviews, specifically my Roseanne stuff, but Roseanne's over, so we got to do something. And this channel started as a film podcast, a weekly film review show. So obviously movies are at my heart as well. But that's it. Comment, like I said, subscribe, all of that great stuff. Join us on Facebook as well at Dan Reviews It. And that is going to do it. Thank you for watching this whole season of reviews. I love your feedback always. And take care. We'll see you next time.